Ranking Member Lee, you're recognized for your statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and to our ranking member, Mr. Members of the committee. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to be here. Is this on? I think it is now. Okay, first, believe it or not, I'm going to thank our chair for his friendship. We do disagree on each and every issue, but I want to thank him for respecting my point of view and our points of view on our side. Needless to say, I oppose the Republican fiscal 25 state and foreign operations appropriations bill as drafted. This is a deeply political extremist bill that seeks to satisfy the most radical members of Congress at the expense of our national security, global human rights, and the well-being of our allies. Now, let me remind you that currently we spend less than 0.5% of our GNP overseas with foreign assistance. This means that current spending is 50% less in real terms than, spent on diplomacy and development than during the Cold War. I must note that our House debate on this particular bill will be carefully watched by people around the world. I urge this committee to reject the floor amendments that would further cause America's friends and foes to question America's strength or resolve to tackle the biggest global issues of our day. This woefully underfunded bill revives many of the bad ideas of last year's House bill, and then it doubled down on some new ones. First and most dangerously, this bill imposes cuts to our diplomatic, development, and humanitarian programs that will weaken America and leave us very vulnerable. The measures Republicans are bringing to the House floor this week would slash our diplomatic and development programs by a shocking 12%, while at the same time seeking to increase military spending by $8.5 billion. These cuts would leave America vastly weakened and continue a dangerous trend that puts the Pentagon on steroids while leaving diplomacy and development on life support. Now, I just returned from a bipartisan delegation to Africa, where my colleagues and I, Democrats and Republicans, met with reformers in key African democracies. These leaders told us they preferred to partner with the United States over China, but too often America's presence and investments was missing in action. Countering the PRC's influence means plainly and simply showing up. Republicans can't have it both ways. This bill encourages China, Russia, and all of our adversaries to fill the void that this bill, with a 12% cut, yes, last year a 6% cut, will accomplish, and it is accomplishing that. So you can't have it both ways. This bill also takes a dishonest approach to the existential threat posed by climate change. People around the world are confronting the impacts of human-caused climate change right now. Life-threatening temperatures, crop failures, floods, and severe weather. Many of us are experiencing this in our own districts and hometowns. We can't change the temperature. Climate change is here. The past 12 months have been the hottest ever measured. But we can help people in communities around the world to cope with the most life-threatening impacts. This bill leaves us without the tools to respond to this threat. The bill also wages war on women's reproductive freedom. 218 million women still do not have access to the tools needed to decide when and how to have a baby. And hundreds of thousands die in childbirth. That is a fact. This bill makes it harder for women to access care. It also cuts off funding to UNFPA, the one partner that provides services to mothers and their babies in the hardest places to reach. But one of the most damaging aspects of this bill is the massive abdication and retreat of United States leadership around the world. The bill projects a worldview that sees issues and countries as black and white, good and evil. If we don't like everything about an organization or can't control all of their actions, this bill prohibits funding it. It's our way or the highway. This is fundamentally undemocratic for a country that stands for democracy. Perhaps most telling is the largest increase in this bill is foreign military financing, while zeroing out the United Nations and outright prohibiting a half dozen UN bodies from being funded. The message of this bill is more weapons, less cooperation. But members, Mr. Chairman, and our ranking member, this is not how the world is. It's not how it works. This approach is isolating America. Yes, human rights violators in countries that do not share our values, they also participate in these organizations. But that is why we must stay engaged, not walk away. If we cede the ground to countries with little regard for human rights, we are enabling more injustice. The world is full of threats that don't respect borders, from climate change to pandemics to assertive dictators. We can't stick our head in the sand and hope it will go away. Let me take a moment to thank our diplomats, our Peace Corps volunteers, our Foreign Service staff, our security, our support staff, all of those who are supported. They're supported by this bill. They continue to make great sacrifices on behalf of the United States, and we are deeply grateful. Again, the world will be paying attention to our floor debate. Our allies are asking if we are serious about protecting human rights and dignity, or if we intend on building a wall around America and telling our allies to go at it alone. I urge this committee to reject these amendments and debates that will further isolate and weaken America in the eyes of both our friends and adversaries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. McGovern.
Thank you, Ranking Member Lee. Thank you for